Round one consisted of just two matches. David Gray, who qualified by winning the Benson & Hedges Championship, played world number 15, James Wattener of Thailand. And Wattener went through with something to spare. The other match saw Jimmy White making an opening Sunday night appearance. For the second year, he'd been specially invited. Jimmy's ever-present fans were well entertained as he built a 5-4 lead. But his opponent, the world number 16 Londoner Mark King, had his own army, and King fought back to win 6-5, a memorable Wembley debut. Tony Drago hadn't won a match in his 4 previous visits to the Masters, but recent repairs to his cue gave him more hope for his match against Stephen Hendry. Drago began to strike the ball beautifully. He knocked in 3 centuries to record his first ever Wembley victory against the 6-times champion. Another man who's been suffering with chronic cue problems, French-Canadian Alain Robidoux. They're beginning to look incurable. And when you're not at the top of your game, the last man you want to face is John Higgins. The world number 1 came very close to producing only the second 147 in Masters history. Missing out on the maximum, and the car didn't disturb Higgins. He raced to a 6-1 win. Another man who hasn't been playing to his ability is Nigel Bond. He was facing defending champion Mark Williams. Williams had won the last 2 ranking events, the outstanding success story of the season. He took his place in the quarters with relative ease. Mark King came up against Peter Ebdon in round 2. The match overran, and with Ebdon leading 5-4, they were called off. Not the most popular decision, but to be honest, they had been time wasting. After the evening session, King returned the fresher and took the final 2 frames for victory. Ronnie O'Sullivan continued his return to the big time, looking bright and interested. He was up against James Wattener, who had only recently been on the wrong end of a Ronnie 147. But this time, he built up a 5-4 lead, and at 5-all, had the chance to win the decisive 11th frame. O'Sullivan stayed cool when it mattered and won a great match. The quarter-final between O'Sullivan and Ken Doherty didn't quite live up to expectations. O'Sullivan failed to sparkle. Doherty, who'd seen off Steve Davis in round 2, completed a comfortable win to stay on course for his first ever Masters title. The one player everyone feared, John Higgins, aiming for the treble, UK, World and Master. Higgins managed to keep his mind on the job to end Mark King's dream debut with a 6-1 win. Meanwhile, 94 master Alan McManus, a second-round winner over Stephen Lee, faced Mark Williams in the quarters. Having lost to Williams in their 2 previous meetings, he didn't want a hat-trick. McManus raced into a 5-1 lead, but Williams showed champion's quality, clawed his way back to 5-4. The Welshman also had a chance to level at 5 apiece, but it wasn't to be. The Scot had revenge and was in the last 4. Tony Drago was up against Anthony Hamilton, who'd beaten John Parrott in round 2, and the centuries were still flowing for Drago. But the match was to turn in frame 8 when Hamilton produced 3 snookers to tie the frame. He won on a respotted black to level the match 4-all. Hamilton went on to complete a 6-5 victory. A hamburger, according to Higgins, nearly put paid to his semi-final hopes. His opponent was also off colour. But it was Higgins who passed the doctor to win 6-3, and he was in his 2nd Masters final, yet to be champion. The other semi-final, Ken Doherty versus Alan McManus. McManus seemed unable to produce his form of the earlier round, and the Irishman won 6-3 for his first Masters final.
To get to the final is great, but it won't be great unless I, bring that cup home.
I'm sure Ken will have a lot of supporters tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll have a few, and it should be a cracking match.
Why not? A rerun of the 1998 World Championship final, and at Wembley, after 16 frames, it was 8-all. Frame 17, Higgins gets the upper hand, but with that Triple Crown in sight, it goes wrong.
32.
And that just shows you what can happen when you go slightly out of position. He had to play a more difficult positional shot, and he snookered himself on the pink.
Doherty's chance, but the same story. Another one for Higgins, and he takes it to be 1 frame from the title. Doherty tries hard.
What has he done here? He snookered himself. He can't get through to that red, so he's going to have to wait for another opportunity.
But that opportunity never came, and the world and UK champion was on his way to the Triple Crown, worn previously only by Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry. John Higgins, Scotland, 15th master in 25 years.